So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for kicking this girl out of my house after she mistook my UK flag for a Confederate flag and was planning on getting us fired from our jobs? So as always, read the story in its entirety, rush it over to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction, read those top comments and the controversial comments and your comments down below, but let's go ahead and get to the story right now. So OP wrote, so for a bit of background, we're all in our mid-20s and live in the USA. Me and two of my friends rent out a decent-sized house and had a get-together. My roommate is friends with these two girls, we'll call them Kate and Jess, and they invite a new friend, they call her Ashley. Now, Ashley, when she comes over, I see that she's recording us. I thought she was just posting to her Instagram and Snapchat. I don't really pay attention to that. I noticed that she's videotaping a lot, so I'm like, Kate, can you check on your friend to see what's going on? Turns out, she thought that the UK flag we have hanging in our living room was a Confederate flag, and she was getting evidence against us. When she found out that it wasn't, everyone just acted like it was a huge joke. But I got pissed, like, for real? You think we're racist, yet we invite you over to our house, where we have our hospitality and our food and our alcohol? In the meanwhile, you're getting evidence to ruin our livelihoods? I don't want anyone like that in my house at all, so I make a scene and get her to leave. Kate and Jess say it was just a misunderstanding. I was like, no there wasn't, it's a principle behind it. Some of our friends have come to Ashley's side, but I don't see how you could support her. Am I the antagonist? So as always, I take the case and rush it over to Decoy Court so I can give you my knee-jerk reaction to this situation, and honestly I could see why OP would be upset about this thing where they're being accused of something they're not doing. You're saying, I have a Confederate flag inside my household and I'm this, not even closeted racist, just this racist overall, and I'm trying to shove it in your face while I invite you over to have some alcohol and liquor and, my hospitality and have some fun. So I can understand why they would say, hey, get the F out of here. You're going to try to cancel culture me right now. I could see why they'd be upset, but I mean, I guess on the decoy defense side on that is if this person is so uneducated as to the difference between a UK flag and a Confederate flag, which are similar shapes but inverse colors. There's no stars on the UK flag and they're just different flags. Like, I mean, there's a lot of flags over in Europe that are just three different stripes of just three different colors, so I could kind of see why, like, okay, the Irish flag and the Italian flag, maybe if she's colorblind, she would think, oh my god, like, you're Italian or you have an Irish flag or something like that. That would make a little bit more sense. But even being colorblind, I can't see her being, justified in saying, oh my god, that's a Confederate flag, let me secretly record you. And on more of the serious side on this conversation would be, let's say he legitimately had the, or he or she, I'm not sure which one it is, but let's say OP genuinely had the Confederate flag on their wall, or you went to somebody's house and they legitimately had, like, the Imperial Japanese flag, the Rising Sun flag, and like, hey, there's some pretty negative connotations to that flag you have up there. I don't think that if someone's extending their friendship to you, the appropriate response is to, like, oh, I'm not gonna stand up to, the bad thing you're doing right now and just speak to you adult to an adult. They're both in their mid-20s saying, hey, do you understand the negative connotation between the Confederate flag that you have on the wall right now? Like, let's discuss this and why I don't think that you should have this. And maybe you have something where it's like, oh yeah, great-great-grandfather served in the Civil War and that's actually like an heirloom passed down. Yes, we don't like what it represents, but it's almost like kind of something in the museum. There's lots of stuff in the museum that represents very, very negative things, but you just have it up there so you can be reminded of the, it's a part of history type of thing. Obviously, that's arguable in the sense of having a Confederate flag in the house, but maybe these two adults can sit there and have a conversation with each other saying, hey, this is why you should do it, this is why I have it, well, you shouldn't do it because of this, how it could be offensive to me and other people that would come over to this house, so there could be a productive conversation, but we're not even going down that path right now because it's just not what happened. It's just the OP's friend of our friend Ashley jumped to some crazy conclusion, and instead of being like an adult and saying, hey, let's have a conversation about this, like, oh no, I'm just gonna secretly record you and get you in trouble. Like, that's not, I don't want anybody in my house like that. If you got a problem with me, have a conversation. Put in the comment section down there that you hate how I have all these Funko Pops over there. You hate this Fender ukulele, that's offensive to you. Don't, like, send it to my employer and try to get me canceled. Why don't you have a conversation? And maybe as an adult, if you make some good points and I hear it, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I was being a jerk by having this stuff up here. Let me take it down because I was uneducated and you did me a favor. Like, that's how I feel we become better people overall by having open discussions, not just, oh, I'm gonna get back at you. You're not gonna know who got you in trouble or who snitched you out to who, but you know, I'm so much better than you because I was able to covertly record something. I don't really know if that's the best way to put it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that OP just judging in Decoy Court is not the antagonist, because I also wouldn't want someone covertly snitching on me because we have a differing opinion or anything, but obviously, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Make sure we take the short break right now and you guys give me your feedback as to what you would have done in the situation. Maybe I'm missing a big component of why they would be the antagonist. I'm open to anything and everything, so go ahead and just take that break and let me know, but let's go ahead and read that top comment right now saying, not the antagonist. You either have to be an idiot or geographically challenged to mix up the UK flag with the Confederate flag. And the next reply to that was, I'd go with idiot. If she already had a phone in her hand to collect her evidence, she could have just Googled the Confederate flag before making her completely ignorant assumption, which is a very, very true thing where it's like, she already had a phone, she could have looked it up, but no, she had already gone in there, locked and loaded to be offended, like, yeah, if I find this, I'm going to cancel you, I'm going to record it. Like already thinking, hey, I'm going to send this to his employee to make sure that they know that he has a Confederate flag in there. Like we had that other story where people just inadvertently snitch on themselves, not knowing that, hey, this whole recording this flag covertly and posting it everywhere is more telling of the person that's doing it than the person they're recording, because it's just showing that they're already ready to be offended in any and every situation, that they will just see a UK flag and be like, oh yeah, an X symbol on a flag with red, white, and blue? Yep, racism. Like, that's terrible. So the next reply was, not the antagonist. What the heck? This girl needs to Google the UK flag. Americans know what the UK flag looks like, so the fact that she didn't is mind-blowing. And the thing is, though, is apparently this girl right here doesn't know what the UK flag looks like because she can misconstrue that as the Confederate flag. But let's go ahead and read one more top comment saying, not the antagonist. I don't want someone in my house who secretly recorded me in an effort to ruin my life. You have every right to ban her from your home, even if your roommates don't agree. She's not a safe person to have in your living space. And that's the one thing that I would say is, instead of having good friends that I can wholeheartedly admit, I've said things that aren't okay, and then it took somebody, like, you know, bringing it to my attention saying, hey, that's not right, maybe you don't want to say that. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I shouldn't say that, thank you for sharing that information with me. That's a good friend. Someone that will be like, oh yeah, someone had, like, you know, slipped up in the way they were saying something, or they had some bad viewpoints. Instead of giving them an opportunity to learn, become a greater person, and really hear the other side of the conversation, you just cancel it. Like, no apologies here, no forgiveness ever. Everybody always has to get, like, the worst punishment possible. Let's make sure you lose your job, lose your apartment, lose your car, lose your friends, lose your family, lose everything because, haha, I caught you with something. Like, I don't want that person in my life. That's not a good friend. And then that's the thing is, just because they did it to someone who had the flag or said something negative, they're gonna, no matter what happens, there's no forgiveness. They're just gonna target anybody that just kind of comes in their view, because that's the mode of interaction they're in, like cancel everybody type of thing. So no, you don't want them in your friend circle at all. You don't want them in your house. You don't want them to ever give them the ability to, like, cancel you, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and read a top controversial comment saying, didn't happen. No one mistakes a Union Jack for a battle flag. And the thing is, though, is you would be surprised on how dense some people are online. So, you know, I imagine this actually did happen. The next reply was, even if it didn't happen, people are still stupid. And that's the thing is, you're really, really giving credit to people like strangers online when you don't realize how bad or uneducated people are about situations. And that's not inherently bad, because not everybody's big into flags. Not everybody's into geography or into, like, you know, sports or something. You can't, like, look down on somebody for not knowing which flag is which. But the thing is always for you to sit there and say, oh, I know the difference between the UK flag and the UK flags, or the UK flag and the Confederate flag, so you're no one's that dumb. Just because you have a different level of intelligence doesn't mean everybody else does. But this reply over here got a lot of downvotes, so let's go ahead and see what they said. Not the antagonist. Cancel culture is sometimes justified, but as a whole, it's rather toxic. And they got lots of downvotes for that. And they said the next reply was, it's not justified unless someone commits a crime. Cancel culture is cancerous to its core. It's a passive-aggressive, bold mentality of telling the teacher on someone rather than confronting them directly like an adult. And I think that both of them are kind of agreeing with the same thing, but one got heavily downvoted, one got heavily upvoted, saying, you know, why are you not assertive enough to have an adult conversation with someone saying, hey, I don't like what you're doing, let me talk to you as a person, to try to do the whole, like, you know, let's make sure this never happens. I think that the cancel culture got wound out of order when it became about like, hey, anybody that did me wrong or did somebody else wrong, let's dig that up and then shove it in their face so they can't work anymore again. Like, that's literally like the opposite of, you know, reform after you get in trouble. Like, you don't punish somebody so they have like some sort of, I don't know, have an analogy for punishment, but you do it so they can learn to be better and come back into society as a better person. The whole cancel culture sometimes can be a situation where it's like, we don't want them to be better, we don't want them to learn their lesson, we just want them gone, which is, I don't know what kind of society you have with if you mess up one time, have a flag that you're not supposed to have on the wall that you never get to work ever again. Like, that's just gonna make someone that was already kind of bordering on that line of like, oh, good person, bad person, that's gonna make them exclusively a bad person. But, you know, that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are thinking. But as always, if you made it this far in the video, you're seeing all the likes, you're seeing all the hearts and the thumbs ups, make sure you guys are doing it as well. Maybe sharing my content with somebody else, because as you know, YouTube really isn't pushing this anymore. So share it with someone that you think might like this video in particular, or the channel overall. But if anything else, just go ahead and put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.